Hello, everyone. Hello. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the nutrition detective around these YouTube parts. And we are here for another Friday Love Your Liver live stream. We always have a lot of fun doing these. Usually what I do is I go over a testimonial and some of the research to enlighten people to the things that we were taught that were completely incorrect and probably purposely taught these things to make us sicker. Because remember, even in the alternative world, the sicker you are, the more money the industry as a whole makes. I'm not saying that many practitioners are out there trying to hurt people, but what the practitioners were taught coming from the highest levels is actually not good for them. So let's get right into it. I just saw a funny question. But what I wanted to go over, I actually don't have a testimonial today. I've had a very busy week and didn't have any time to get one together. So I wanted to go over a little Twitter thread. I am on Twitter as at NutriDetect. I can't fit in Nutrition Detective, so I'm NutriDetect. And you can find my name on there. You can find Nutrition Detective. I'm on there. So that's where I've been having fun. But so there was a guy who posted, Really Tan Man, at Really Tan Man, posted the ways to get to not burn in the sun, to have really healthy skin, and to get a good tan. And the link to this Twitter thread, well, let me put it in the comments here. So I have the link in the video description below to this thread, and then I just put it in the chat. So he said the first thing to have healthy skin and to get a good tan and to not burn was to eat retinol, vitamin A. He says this vitamin is crucial for overall skin health. High quality animal fats, liver, and grass-fed milk are the best sources. Well, first of all, I would highly recommend anyone who still thinks that eating liver, which I call the sewage treatment plant of the body, is healthy. You should watch my video all about how eating liver is bad for you on this channel and educate yourselves to the things like how, well, my second tweet on here, actually it's my third, but anyway, so if you haven't seen the research about eating liver, which is high in vitamin A and copper, for all those of you out there who think you have to eat animal vitamin A, also known as retinol, and eat copper, bioavailable copper, which is a totally pseudoscientific nonsense BS term, go look up bioavailable copper on PubMed. I believe I found 2 papers that actually mentioned it. And one of them was actually discussing copper toxicity. So to get copper toxic, the copper would actually be bioavailable, right? It's in your system. It's there. So anyway, in that video, I go over how eating liver has killed a child, if not at least one, if not more, sending people to the hospital in as little as 1 meal. And the Finnish government, the Finnish government actually telling pregnant mothers and children to avoid eating it completely, to avoid the risk of things like birth defects and poisoning young children. Liver, so think about the sewage treatment plant of the body, and people will go, well, but the liver doesn't store things. Some YouTube expert or Google expert said that the liver does not store things. They are completely wrong. The most obvious thing to show them that they're wrong would be fatty liver. Fatty liver is the liver which stores fat-soluble vitamins. I say that because pretty much the fat-soluble vitamins are a joke and not necessary, except for vitamin K. Funny thing that cholecalciferol is an alcohol, retinol is an alcohol, and tocopherol and tocotrienol, the vitamin E family, are all alcohols. Interesting that they're trying to tell us that we need alcohols to which turn into aldehydes to live. Just a coincidence that they're all alcohols. They all end in OL. They're not vitamins. You know, the word vitamin was supposed to be short for vital, as in essential. Amines. Amines are like more like proteins, amino acids, vital amines. And yet we have these fat-soluble alcohols, and we have an epidemic of fatty liver. Where would your body want to store fat-soluble poisons? Oh, in the fat, in the fatty liver, and in the excess body fat. Oh, excuse me. In the excess body fat that we have such a problem with today. Does this not make sense? So, next, I went over in the thread. I have a video on this channel for those of you who would say, well, natural vitamin A and synthetic vitamin A are totally different. They're not. There's not any science to back up that statement. Chemistry people cannot tell the difference between natural and synthetic vitamin A. There is no difference. They are exactly the same molecule. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is good at making poisons, aren't they? That's what they're good at. I'm trying to tell you that this here is a poison, and they can completely replicate it in a lab. Watch the video about that, because they have done things like poisoned rats with different types of vitamin A, food-based vitamin A from things like fish oil. And then they use the same form of that vitamin A to poison them from a synthetic source. And you know what they said? As long as the type of vitamin A was the same and the dose of vitamin A was the same, the rats got exactly the same poisoning. And when they took the vitamin A out of the fish oil and they gave the fish oil to the mice got no poisoning. So they said it's pretty straightforward that vitamin A did it. So anyway, just wanted to go over that. Natural and synthetic are the same. Eating liver is poison. Vitamin A from milk is still poisonous. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a time when I was up in medical school and I was helping with a raw dairy co-op because I was, I've had my history of being misled. The reason I'm here today is because I've made all the mistakes, folks. But I was helping with a raw dairy co-op, and they actually did not have to add vitamin A and vitamin D to their milk because they were supposed to, but what they were able to do was in their testing, they were able to show that the levels of vitamin A in the raw milk, because of being grass-fed, were high enough that they didn't have to add any. Remember how I just told you that natural and synthetic are the same toxicity-wise? So the raw milk, in terms of vitamin A, was just as toxic as the pasteurized stuff where they add vitamin A and vitamin D to it. The pasteurized stuff is probably still more toxic. I mean, it is definitely more toxic. Absolutely. And let's hit on egg yolks real quick. The research shows that basically eating 2 or more eggs a week in one study increased the risk of fatty liver by 3.61 times. And I will tell you that of all the research I've done, fatty liver contains exactly the same stuff that's in egg yolks. Coincidence? What color is fatty liver? It's yellow. What color are egg yolks? It's yellow. I mean, draw your own conclusions. So now let's get into it. The environmental working group, which is a good group. They are trying to help protect people, I believe. So their quote, they have an article about, they actually put vitamin A in sunscreens, in a lot of sunscreens. Did you know that? Retinyl palmitate. And people will say out there who are uneducated, they'll say, well, that's a synthetic form of vitamin A. It may be synthetic, but if you go and look up and actually do the research, you will find that the main form of vitamin A in animal foods, liver, dairy, that stuff, is retinyl palmitate. The exact same molecule. Chemists could not tell the difference, which means there is no difference in the effect in the body. Retinyl palmitate is retinol bound to palmitic acid. Okay. Here's what the environmental working group said, and the links are all in the tweet thread. Quote, vitamin A and its derivatives are well known to cause skin irritation and greater skin sensitivity to sunlight. a reaction known as photosensitivity. Okay, so we know that putting vitamin A on your skin and going in the sun will cause more skin irritation and more photosensitivity. Okay. The Environmental Working Group actually quoted another study that showed that when you add retinyl palmitate and light to the skin, what happens is skin cancer developed even faster. And there's the chart in there that you can look at. So the shorter bars, people might look at it and go, wait, but the retinyl palmitate bars are shorter. Well, that's because they're talking about how quickly skin cancer develops. So a shorter bar was less time until the cancer developed. Okay, the skin tumors. Next, I went over this article from the Daily or the Sun before, but a woman in, I believe it was in, I think it was England, she applied carrot oil to her skin in the hopes that she would get a better tan. Okay. Now, should be well known, we store vitamin A in our skin. They call it carotenodermia or hyperkeratinemia, which is basically too much. The hyperkeratinemia, too many carotenoids, plant vitamin A, if you want to call it that, in the blood. And then it stores in your subcutaneous fat and your skin. I remember reading a quote from a plastic surgeon who said, you can always tell who eats healthy because when we do liposuction, so that means they're already fat. When we do liposuction and we pull out orange fat, we know they eat healthy. but they eat healthy and they're coming in for liposuction and they have orange fat. You might want to watch the video on this channel about how vitamin A is a major cause of obesity by how it affects the liver. There are no coincidences between where we are in society today, folks. So anyway, here's the headline from this article. Not worth it. Mum, 24, quote, cooked herself like a roast chicken and got third-degree burns using carrot oil to sunbathe. Sounds like it's good for your skin. Definitely. So now let's go into this. This is something that people don't quite understand. 13-cis retinoic acid. So remember this, 13-cis. And we're not talking about cis and trans and all those other topics of the current world today. We're talking about chemical terms. 13-cis retinoic acid and all trans retinoic acid are two of the supposedly active forms of vitamin A that you don't need at all, that retinol eventually turns into in your body. Okay, I put the image, the detox pathway of vitamin A in the body. In the body, I put the chart here. This is from a scientific paper. This is legit. This is how it works in your body. So imagine this. So if somebody eats liver and they eat retinol via eating retinyl esters, or they take retinol through their skin, or they eat retinyl palmitate supplements, or they eat beta carotene, which turns into 2 retinols or retinaldehydes. So let's say you just have these starting points of beta carotene or retinaldehyde or retinol, and they start going through the vitamin A detox pathway. And they are turned into, some of them are turned into 13-cis retinoic acid, and some of them are turned into all trans retinoic acid. Just look at that chart. After they're going through this conversion, do you think that there's still actually a difference in the synthetic forms of 13-cis retinoic acid or the natural forms of 13-cis retinoic acid? They're going through the same enzymes, folks. Why is this important? And the other video on this channel, my main video for now, the all vitamin A turns into Accutane in your body. You should know that 13-cis retinoic acid is what the pharmaceutical companies sell as Accutane or isotretinoin to people. It's exactly the same chemical. So when you eat vitamin A, you are eating, Accutane is 13-cis retinoic acid and Retin-A is all trans retinoic acid. You are taking some of the most dangerous and side effect ridden drugs out there. If people want to say that you need vitamin A to live, they are saying that you need a certain amount of Accutane and retin A in your body to live. There is no chemical difference. There is no argument here. Okay. But first, I wanted to go over some of the known side effects of vitamin A supplements. So, from a paper called Adverse Events Following Administration of Vitamin A Supplements, here's the quote. These are some of the side effects: skin changes, erythema, pruritus, desquamation, end quote. Now, let me tell you what those terms are. Erythema is redness, pruritus is itching, desquamation is peeling. What in the world does a sunburn? What are the characteristics of a sunburn? Okay, redness, itching, peeling. So they're saying that vitamin A supplementation can simply give you a sunburn just by taking it. But then you combine sun with it, and remember earlier, combining the sun with vitamin A results in skin cancer even faster. Gosh, there's not an epidemic of skin cancer, is there? So let's go over some of the side effects listed for retinoids, including isotretinoin, aka Accutane. So this is from the New Zealand Dermatology Net. Quote, the following table lists the most common medications and topical agents causing photosensitivity. That's sensitivity to the sun, like getting burned super easily. Retinoids, specifically isotretinoin. So they're saying the vitamin A family as a whole causes photosensitivity, particularly 13-cis-retinoic acid, which some people claim that you actually need to live. Let's go into all trans-retinoic acid, which is also known as tretinoin, or retin A, which people apply topically. Okay, here's the quote from drugs.com, the side effects list. Peeling/skin exfoliation. Erythema, that's redness. Pruritus, that's itching. Blistering. Pain, crusting, tenderness, dry skin, burning/warmth/stinging, and photosensitivity/increased sensitivity to light. Can you describe sun damage to me, please? Give me all the words you can think of, and there's that list. So to wrap this up, what have we covered here? They are natural and synthetic vitamin A are equally toxic when we're talking about the same forms and dosages. No one can show differently. No one has shown differently. Eating liver damages people, has even killed a child. Applying vitamin A to the skin irritates it and increases your sun sensitivity, no matter the form. Applying the same type of vitamin A found in animal foods to your skin accelerates development of skin cancer. Applying carrot oil, as in carotenoids, to the skin and sunbathing has resulted in third-degree burns on a person. And I added one here, P.S. People will say, oh, your liver can hardly convert carotenoids, beta-carotene, into retinol. I have a paper here where they used a kind of a living skin sample, a human skin sample, and they applied topical beta-carotene to it. They put beta-carotene in it. You could get beta-carotene to the skin either through your diet, and it puts it there. It stores it there because it needs it out of the blood because it's toxic. Or you can put it on topically. They'll both turn your skin orange, right? But topical beta-carotene actually was converted to retinyl esters, animal vitamin A, if you want to call it retinol, and then it goes sent to the liver to be stored. Okay? So if you ever turned orange, let me just tell you, the research says if you ever turned orange, you're vitamin A toxic. All that, if you stopped eating the carrot juice or the whatever juice you were probably doing, or taking red palm oil or whatever that made you turn orange, and you stopped and you became less orange, or your skin went back to a fairly normal color, it doesn't mean you're out of the woods. It means your body converted all those carotenoids to retinoids, retinyl esters specifically, and sent them to your liver. If you were a high-fat diet person like a keto or a high-fat carnivore, you added extra fats to the mix, And you definitely stored them all in the liver because that's how we store toxins in our liver, fat-soluble toxins. We bind them to fats. So when a lot of your health issues seem to go away on a high-fat diet, it's because you were actually actively binding the toxins in your blood to fat and ferociously storing them in your liver. And this is why when you try to get off the high-fat diet, you feel like garbage because you've stored all those toxins in your liver and now your liver is desperately trying to get rid of them through your bile. But in the meantime, your high-fat diet, do you know how they give rats cholestasis, or basically it means your toxic bile leaks into your blood? Do you know how they give one of the many ways they can give rats cholestasis in studies and cause them to leak toxic bile into their blood? They give them a high-fat diet. So all that time you were feeling better because you were ferociously storing poisons in your liver and getting them out of your blood. That's why you felt better. You felt better because the bile and the other toxins were getting out of your blood and being stored in the liver. And then you try to go back to a semi-normal diet because humans aren't supposed to be on a high-fat diet, and your body tells you this after a while. Or the doctor tells you after a while when your liver enzymes finally go through the roof. It can take a long time. This is why they call liver disease the silent disease, folks. Don't ever listen to anybody on the internet who's like, my liver enzymes are fine. I don't have any liver problems. Liver tests are not early indicators. By the time you've got your liver enzymes going up, your liver is crying. But your liver is very stoic and it will not cry sometimes until it's very late in the course of things. Anyway. Yeah, and then you get off the high-fat diet. The high-fat diet has created cholestasis. And then your liver starts ferociously trying to dump all that toxic stuff you stored in it. And you now have cholestasis, which means more of that toxic bile leaks into the liver. Leaks into the bloodstream. And then you feel bad. You feel worse than when you started the ketogenic diet. That's how it happens, folks. Humans were never, ever, ever supposed to eat high-fat diets. No one can really. Don't bring up the Inuit. Ask me how many 100-year-olds are doing a keto diet. Ask me how many 90-year-olds are doing a keto diet. Ask me how many 80-year-olds are doing a keto diet. And they've done it for more than 50 years of their life. If a high-fat diet was the answer to everything, don't you think we would have figured it out like 500 years ago, maybe? So again, side effects of excess vitamin A supplements internally look just like sunburn. Your body turns retinol and carotenoids you eat into 13-cis-retinoic acid, Accutane, and all-trans-retinoic acid, Atra, which is Retin-A. Do you know that there was a study on veterans where they gave them Retin-A in the hopes they were going to prevent skin cancer, and they had to stop the study because too many of them died early? Go look it up. We know that as a side effect of 13-cis-retinoic acid, which would be from vitamin A, internally, when taking it as a pill, it increases your sun sensitivity. And all trans-retinoic acid topically increases your sun sensitivity and increases your skin problems, and killed veterans in a study. Too many of them were dying and they shut down the study. I have a testimonial here from Coach Noah Ravoy, where I helped him to stop taking vitamin A. He was detoxing from vitamin A over time. His energy levels went up, and his sun sensitivity went away. And he says, now I can enjoy hours in the sun, healthier skin, and I get sick far less. This is not a vitamin, folks. You need none of it. If you would like to stop having problems with the sun, let's say the other thing you can tell, let's say you're one of those people who was born with darker skin and you don't feel like you have issues in the sun. One of the ways that will give it away, even if you have a darker skin tone than, let's say, me, because I'm just white boy, if you have eye sensitivity, photophobia, as they say, where you have to wear sunglasses outside or you're constantly squinting outside in the sun, it doesn't matter what color your skin is. Your eyes will give it away. How sensitive your eyes are to the sun will give away some of your vitamin A toxicity tendencies. Different people show up these problems in different areas. Where it tends to break you down is what types of vitamin A you concentrated on, because different carotenoids are stored in different areas than retinoids. Retinoids tend to be stored in your liver. Carotenoids tend to be stored in your skin, your subcutaneous fat. Oh, and your adrenals. For all of you adrenal fatigue people out there, one of the biggest places you store carotenoids is your adrenal glands. Gosh, I wonder why they're not functioning well. And this is coming from a guy who I actually used to work with, Dr. James Wilson, who wrote the first book on adrenal fatigue. So I'm quite familiar with adrenal fatigue. I went through that phase. I don't do anything with adrenals anymore. I don't have to worry about them, because you fix the system and you fix the poisoning and you fix the nutrient deficiencies, and that fixes itself. You don't need vitamin A. Avoiding it is better for you. Now, let's get into questions. Sentient Now says, Ayurvedic traditions say that it is dangerous to sleep with your head pointing north because of the magnetic poles of the earth. Do you think there's anything to this theory? Well, there's a true north and then there's a magnetic north. I've been studying some map reading. So the true north, the magnetic north. I got them switched up there for a second. Magnetic north is actually moving around. You could probably Google or search something like North Pole migration. It's moving. So should we constantly turn our bed so we can aim towards it? Go and ask, the 100-year-olds, say, do you orient the head of your bed to the north? And see what they say. Ask them how their bed is oriented. I mean, why don't we look at, there's a saying that I really like, which is success leaves clues. So why don't we go and find the people who seem to have lived the longest? But also living long can be a lot with genetics, and whether people exploit their genetic weaknesses or not, whether they realize it or not, they may or may not be helping themselves. And if you think about it, what genetics loads the gun, environment pulls the trigger. If you have bad genetics in an area, let's say, as an example, 50% of the Asian population has a genetic mutation in their ALDH enzyme, their aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme. 50% of them. This means they are going to tend to be either slower or a lot slower in breaking down aldehydes, which are a huge cause of chronic disease. So let's say you take a person, because it's not just Asians. If anyone who says they're allergic to alcohol, or they have that kind of Asian flush or Asian glow thing where they have one drink and they tend to get really, really tipsy and really giggly and all that stuff, and they have terrible hangovers, they probably have an ALDH mutation. And if you're out there and you're saying, well, I didn't have that as a teen or a young 20s, but now I'm in my 30s and I have that, you have a nutrient deficiency, at least with molybdenum, and you're probably taking in too many aldehydes. And we could probably look through your history and figure out where that came from. Could be essential oils. Do you know that citrus oil, citral, they call it citral, but it's citraldehyde? And do you know that directly has been shown to slow down aldehyde dehydrogenase? You know that fructose slows down aldehyde dehydrogenase? Do you know that vitamin C, ascorbic acid, slows down aldehyde dehydrogenase? And for those of you who say, well, food-based vitamin C doesn't do it, there is no such thing. One book wrote about that. They have no references. There is no food-based vitamin C complex. Stop. Ascorbic acid is the molecule they call vitamin C. And in the study where they looked at high sugar drinks mostly, a small bit of ascorbic acid slowed down ADH, alcohol dehydrogenase, and ALDH more than anything else they looked at. More than anything else. But take vitamin C, it's good for you. Linus Pauling took it 18 grams a day for decades. He still died of prostate cancer. That's what got him into health, and he still died of it. Didn't fix it. So anyway, I'm not going to be changing the head of my bed anytime soon. And somebody from Ayurveda, some of these older health approaches, if they can't, if this gets to the modern day and age, and nobody's going to actually do, I mean, how much would it cost to do some blood tests, let's say, on people and change the orientation of their bed? Shouldn't Ayurvedic practitioners want to do this to prove that they're right? I mean, why not use science to show it? Why is nobody doing that? I mean, that study doesn't cost much. You get some Ayurvedic doctors to run some blood tests and have people adjust their bed. I mean, I can say whatever I want about it, but if they actually think there's validity to it and it will help people, they should be trying to do that. You want to know what I'm trying to do in the research world is I'm working on organizing. Hopefully, we're trying to find funding, and we're trying to find a university or a research center to do it. We have a group. We want to redo the original vitamin A deficiency mice and rat studies with a proper diet that's not zinc deficient and taurine deficient, to show that the whole basis of vitamin A being a vitamin is complete bullshit. Because we're proving it in humans. We're getting people with like next to zero vitamin A in their blood. It takes years to get there. We're not dying. Our eyes aren't falling out from dryness and night blindness and all this stuff. I go and I take nighttime gun classes. I don't eat vitamin A. Shouldn't I be night blind by now? Shouldn't I? Shouldn't my eyes be like cracked and falling apart because they're so dry? Those are just so you know, there's only two things that science has said are distinctly vitamin A deficiency syndromes. There's only two things. So anybody on the internet who's like, you need it for skin health, that's not science. Dry eyes and night blindness or night vision issues. So I got something on my tongue. How'd that get there? Annoying to be talking and have something on your tongue. But I live in Arizona. It's pretty dry here in the summer. And it's pretty dry here in the winter too. And I like I said, I take nighttime gun classes, and I don't seem to have a problem. Make sure you watch on this channel my video about how vitamin A deficiency doesn't exist, where I go over how in other research they have shown where large groups of people have vitamin A deficiency on blood tests and yet have no vitamin A deficiency symptoms. How does that work? Because the science is bullshit. Next, we have the houses we live in. Is diatomaceous earth good to use as a supplement for parasites? I'm going to be straightforward on this. I used diatomaceous earth with people for a while in my practice. Didn't do much of anything. And for all the people out there who obsess about parasites, do they exist? Sure. All the testimonials you'll see here and all the people who I've helped, am I addressing parasites as a first line thing with any of them? No. If somebody comes to me and they say, I think I have a parasite problem, I think I do. And I say, okay, well, let's test it. Let's not go. I'm going to tell you almost every parasite supplement and every parasite medication, there's significant research of it causing liver injury, cholestasis, bile in your blood. There is. So, am I going to go and have people take herbs or medications that we know damage the liver before we know a parasite is present? No. First, do no harm. I actually take like medical philosophy, the oath I agreed to as a naturopathic physician. I actually take these things very, very seriously. First, do no harm. Don't treat a parasite unless you know you have one. For those of you out there who want to investigate this, parasitetesting.com. You get the stool and the saliva test. Now, am I telling you to go out and do this? No, I'm saying this is where I would send people. They will run the test for you. You pay for it. They run it. You need to put a doctor's name on there. If you're a client of mine, you can put my name on it. They'll send me the results. And then we go over it and we look at the things they actually do. They do a sensitivity and specificity. They test various natural things against the parasites that they find. They test drugs against them. They test various natural things against them. And then we would look at what seems to work the best against it and what is the least toxic. Amazing, right? Amazing that we would take this approach. What works the best and is the least toxic. And then if somebody wanted to throw in diatomaceous earth with it, that's fine. That's fine. You can do some extra stuff. There's nothing wrong. I mean, I tend to hit things from multiple angles all the time. Why not? If they're not toxic, especially if they're not synergistically toxic. Like, think about it. People will be like, well, they have these shots that the ingredients in them haven't been tested together and the multiple dosing hasn't been tested together. And I'm going, oh, you mean that parasite supplement you're taking, which has like 10 herbs in it, all of which have been shown in various degrees to have liver toxicity? Oh, how's the combination of those 10 herbs? Do we know that? Or are people assuming, as in making an ass out of you and me, that just because it's natural, it's okay? Very commonly, natural things are less toxic than pharmaceuticals. But people will also get on a supplement and take it forever. So you have accumulated damage and problems over time because they think it's less toxic. And they're just like, well, why don't I just keep taking it? I don't have parasites. You know, it's like the whole, like, I don't have it now. The things I was doing, I don't have parasites. So then I'll just keep taking the anti-parasite thing so I don't ever get them. Well, now you damage your liver because you've done this toxic liver combination for months and years to avoid a problem that you didn't have. Everything you take goes through your liver. Everything you take adds to the load on your liver. This is just math. Your liver is there's nothing that like your liver is just like, oh, great to have you. Come on through. You're no strain on the system. No, everything's a strain on the system. Your water has to process, your liver, in its own way, goes through all the water you drink. What do you think makes up your blood that goes through your liver? People say, well, that's your kidneys. And it's like, no, your liver goes through it first. You absorb it from your guts. It goes via the portal vein to the liver. Your liver is like the bouncer of your body. And then what makes it through your liver that's allowed to go into the blood then goes to your kidneys and your skin. Your liver is your first line. That is why we love our liver here. Is diatomaceous earth damaging? Is it a problem? I don't think so. And do I enjoy taking it? So am I going to take it when I don't need to? No. Is it nutritional? Like I saw a guy on the internet saying that like diatomaceous earth was like a multi-mineral and vitamin. No, it's not. It's silica. It's ground up diatom exoskeletons. Make sure if you're going to do it, oh my gosh, make sure you get food grade. Make sure you get food grade. Don't just buy random stuff for like gardening on your, I mean, and I've used diatomaceous earth. You can use it to like stop ants from coming, you can use it. You can put a line of it. They won't cross that line. Take that for whatever it's worth. But yeah, I wouldn't, I don't treat parasites. I get people better without ever even thinking twice about parasites. And if I was working with people and they were getting better in all sorts of other ways, but they still had gut problems, then we might go and look for them. But I remember reading a book. I forget the guy's name. It was a veterinary book about how to help dogs get better and dogs and cats. But, I was mainly concerned with dogs because I'm not a cat person. He said it was the sick dogs who got parasites. This is a man who was probably in veterinary practice for 20 or 30 or 40 years. And he said it's the sick dogs who got parasites. It wasn't the healthy dogs who got parasites. He lives in the same area. The same parasites should be around the same area, right? Why aren't the healthy dogs getting the same parasites as the sick dogs? Here's a tip. Parasites love dead or diseased or sick tissue. That's what they thrive on. Kind of like maggots. Okay? If you don't have a lot of dead or diseased or dying tissue, and you have a strong immune system, the parasites don't take hold. This is why the healthy, so he was kind of saying cause or effect. Chicken or the egg? Did the parasites come first and then the poor health, or did the poor health come first and then the parasites moved in? It's just like a cold, people. Like, why do some people get a cold and it's terrible, and some people get a cold and it's like a little sniffle? It has to do with how toxic your liver is. That's what makes you sick. That's where you dump the toxic bile from that gives you all your symptoms. That's what toxic bile in your gut would eat away at your gut tissue. Oh, like vitamin A, retinoic acid, and retin-A. Do you know that the original chemical peel for the face was all trans-retinoic acid, retin-A? They called it a yellow peel. Why yellow? Weird. It's designed to eat away the top layers of your skin cells. So how do we get rid of vitamin A in the body? We get rid of it through the bile, which we dump into the intestines. So you just put chemical peel on your intestines. Do you think that would cause dead, diseased, dying, poisoned tissue that parasites might love? Interesting. These are not coincidences. Free Michigan says, I have an appointment with you soon. Well, thank you for your trust. I just had blood work and ferritin serum is 11 nanograms per mil. What can I do for this before I see you? I'm trying to eat more meat, but it causes smelly farts / stool right now. If it hurts, don't do it. You should not be eating more meat right now. You are making more hydrogen sulfide and other sulfur compounds in your gut from the meat right now. I tend not to give specific health info over this live stream because Murphy's Law, people are going to take whatever I say and somebody's going to do the worst thing they possibly could with it. Somebody's going to do that. One of you out there is going to do something that I say, and you're going to say, well, Dr. Smith said to do it. And I'm going to say, I didn't tell you to do anything. I am a doctor. I am not, this is the royal you. I am not your doctor unless you are working with me. You are caveat emptor, buyer beware. You are doing this at your own risk. You're not getting treated by me just by watching my live stream. But that was in the big sense. So Free Michigan has an appointment coming up with me. Let me tell you about low ferritin and iron deficiency anemia. Now, could people be true? So I tend to look at iron deficiency anemia. There's a problem with the liver. Imagine me saying that, right? Broken record. They have a problem with their liver. And low ferritin tends to mean that the liver is in, I call it a deeper doo-doo situation. The liver is worse off than somebody with high ferritin. Okay. When things go low, the liver is losing its ability to get rid of things. So just because you have low ferritin doesn't mean you don't have enough iron in your liver. And it definitely doesn't mean if you're increasing the meat in your diet, it doesn't mean that there's not enough iron in your diet. It means that you have liver stuff going on, which that's the root of all this stuff, whether it's high ferritin or low ferritin. Eating more iron is not going to necessarily fix that problem, especially if you're not digesting it well and you have a dysbiosis that is creating more sulfur compounds that you can smell. So, those of you out there, if you have rotten egg farts or sulfur farts, you've got a sulfur metabolism problem, which is rooted in your liver. And you should definitely reduce your intake of sulfur compounds. Sulfur slows down your detox. I don't care what people say about glutathione and cysteine, and sulfur eventually slows down your detox. I don't ever use Epsom salt baths. We use magnesium chloride. Don't add more sulfur to your system. There's no such thing as a sulfur deficiency in humans. If somebody out there were to think that you have a sulfate deficiency, that's a symptom. That's not a root cause. Do you know that vitamin A inhibits proper sulfate production in the body? I have the research. Weird how vitamin A connects to all this stuff. Cholestasis too. Lactoferrin. Let's talk about lactoferrin. Nutrition detective lactoferrin from fresh milk, not as a byproduct of whey or cheese making, where it's coming from whey. One of the things you can do is follow the instructions that I give for the lactoferrin, which are linked on the bottle. One of the things you can do is take the lactoferrin, your lactoferrin, with an iron-containing meal, like meat, red meat being the highest in iron. What you do is you take the lactoferrin with food that has iron in it, and the lactoferrin can then bind to some of the iron from that food and then carry it to where it's supposed to go. Lactoferrin means it's an iron-binding protein. And studies have shown lactoferrin can relieve iron deficiency anemia, and it can relieve iron overload. Did you know that vitamin A directly damages the cells that make lactoferrin in your body? Do you know that in the research, vitamin A toxicity has been shown to both cause iron overload and iron deficiency? How can it do these opposite things in the body? Well, there's the earlier stages, which tends to go high, and then there's the later stages, the deeper doo-doo stages, where things tend to go low. You can have people who used to have high ferritin and now they're down to really low ferritin. They went deeper down the liver doo-doo hole. That's what happened. Some people skip the high and they go directly to the low. This is like the phenomenon that I talked about with the over and under types inside the Love Your Liver network at nutritiondetective.com. Over and under types is a very important concept. And the unders, who tend to be on the low side of things, are deeper in the liver doo-doo, to give a technical term. The lactoferrin would be what I would start with. I would also suggest you read the molybdenum-related articles in the Love Your Liver program. You can just do a search inside the network for molybdenum and find the articles by me where I mention molybdenum. And there's doses that you could start at. Okay. Now, I'm actually going to read this comment. It was held for review. And I don't mind funny questions like this. So he says, does ejaculation count as a vitamin A detox pathway? Asking for a friend. Sure. Yes. Always asking for a friend. Yes, of course. The biggest thing the sad thing that ejaculation is good for in getting rid of in your body is zinc. There are some of the statistics I've seen is that we only absorb about 10% of our zinc from foods and supplements. And the research actually shows that we absorb as much zinc from supplements as we do from food. So that 10% number, I'm going to say, is fairly good. So let's say if a pound of meat a day, a pound of red meat a day gives you about 20 milligrams of zinc. Okay. You absorb 10% of that ish. 2 milligrams actually gets in your system. This is the research that I've seen. Guess how much zinc you lose per ejaculation, guys? About 1 to 3 milligrams of zinc. So if you eat a pound of meat a day and then you pound your meat, all that zinc just left. What do you need zinc to detox? Copper. You need zinc to detox vitamin A. You need zinc to make testosterone. So you're kind of now. I would actually let me see. Let me go to my research forum and see if now I thought so. Well, let me see. So what I'm looking at here. So I basically, let me put it this way. Here's a paper. There is vitamin A in bull semen. Okay. I mean, I take all this stuff seriously. Like a funny thing is that I've completely. I mean, I have a good sense of humor. I hope people realize that. I like to think I have a good sense of humor, but I also tend to lose my sense of humor around these topics because I take it so seriously. So I go and I look up, is there vitamin A in sperm? And those of you guys out there who have paid attention, you've probably noticed that your ejaculate can be fairly yellow at times. Now, I have another article on my old research forum. I think I've posted this before. Let me put this in here. So I just found a paper that showed that there is, right here, let me read it, vitamin A in bovine sperm acrosomes. Bull semen was collected artificially. Hopefully it wasn't collected naturally. And vitamin A was determined in the intact spermatozoa, the acrosomes, and the sperm tails. The results show that over 90% of the total vitamin A in the spermatozoa was present in the acrosomes, and that the sperm tails were completely devoid of vitamin A. The concentration of vitamin A varied from 224 to 364 nanograms per 10 to the minus 9 spermatozoa. Okay, so now the other link that I put here is from an article that I wrote that said poison/vitamin A excreted/detox through feces, urine, sweat, saliva, tears, and even the breath. So we could assume that if the body is getting rid of vitamin A through practically every fluid that it possibly can, that it would be in the sperm too. Is the sperm going to be a viable, helpful route of detox? No. And so I'm going to answer a funny question in a serious way. No, it's not helpful. And I will tell you that the way that most guys are getting to that via watching porn is mental poison. Porn is mental poison designed to break the men of today. You need to, I'm not saying this is an issue for you. Wampa Stompa or something like that. I'm not saying this is an issue for you, but men and women, I can't imagine how bad chronic porn watching is for women, but men, it's terrible for you. You need to stop. If you look up on YouTube the easy peasy way, let me find it. This is I consider this a public service. So I'm going to take the time to look this up. Any one of you who know, let me find it, by John Loth. There it is. This is a video series. All you have to do is listen to it. And it will help you. You do not have to stop doing it to start watching the videos. They actually encourage you that you don't. that you start watching it, you don't stop the bad habit of what they call PMO, porn, masturbation, orgasm. You start watching it and just listen. It's probably about 15 hours. Absolutely worth it. Possibly one of the best things you will ever do in your life. You will save your zinc. You won't get rid of vitamin A that way, by that route, but you will improve your mental health and you will become a better person overall, and you will save your zinc, which is very, very important. Okay? Let's see, where were we? Sarah asks, is there an oral magnesium you would suggest over others? I'm going to try to make this short. I think topical magnesium approaches are 10 times more effective than oral. And I have seen on hair tests that only about 1 in 20 people, in my estimates, can actually raise their hair magnesium levels with pills. And I tried that jigsaw magnesium on multiple people, and the time release slow, the sustained release, time release ingredients in it actually made people feel worse. So I do not like any timed release. Funny thing that the protocol people love that jigsaw stuff. Gosh, the mistakes just keep coming, don't they? We had people who were having their asthma symptoms exacerbated from those time release additives. And they will testify to that. So I'm not saying anything that's untrue here. So anyway, for supplementation purposes, like, here's what I'm going to say. This is where people are going to take my words totally out of context. I think most oral magnesium for the purpose of raising tissue magnesium levels is a waste of money. There's 1 out of 20 people who actually get somewhere with pills. If you don't test with somebody who understands how to read your magnesium on a hair test, you're probably going to be one of the 19 people wasting your money on magnesium pills. With all that said, magnesium malate is my favorite type of magnesium to supplement for the purposes of trying to help raise tissue levels of magnesium. If somebody wants help pooping, so here's the thing to understand. The magnesiums that are the best absorbed in terms of orally are the least helpful for people who want kind of the laxative effect of magnesium. They want it to help them poop. So the ones that are the best at the laxative effect are actually the least well absorbed. That's why they help you poop, is because all that magnesium sits in your gut. It's not well absorbed. It pulls water to it. Your body then says, I have all this magnesium and water in my gut, and there's also this other poop that we haven't gotten rid of either. Let's dump it. And when you take enough magnesium or enough vitamin C or whatever that you're trying to force yourself to poop, basically what you're doing is you are not absorbing that stuff that's in your gut, and you're pulling water to it osmotically, and then your body's saying, get rid of this shit. I'm tired of this shit. Get rid of it. So, magnesium malate, if you wanted to probably waste your money on a magnesium supplement, and if you're not hair testing to see how your magnesium is going relative to your calcium, you don't know. And like I said, topical approaches with magnesium chloride, various approaches, baths, foot soaks, oils, magnesium oil, magnesium lotion, Magahol, all of them work better than pills. Even if you're a person who pills work for, 1 of the 20, topical still works better. I have articles on the internet about, you can look up my name and topical magnesium. There, I have an article on Steam It all about topical magnesium. Here, let me find that. It's So that's my take on oral magnesium. But so for pooping, magnesium hydroxide, which is also known as milk of magnesia, or magnesium oxide are ones that you could use. Using them long term, our goal, one of the things, actually, the research is out there. Lactoferrin, let me find lactoferrin and constipation. Those of you who are constipated, there is research on lactoferrin helping with constipation. How does it do that? It helps to increase your production of bile. Because it helps increase your production of bile, and if you're here listening to me, you probably have health issues and you have some amount of cholestasis going on. If you dump too much bile too fast, you cannot feel good. This is why on the instructions here, there's a link to my specific instructions of how to start slowly on lactoferrin. It is super powerful. People in my network know this. Some people can go up very quickly on it. Some people, when it starts dumping bile for them and the bile is at the root of their health issues, they need to go very slow. Some people can't start with it. It's just too strong for them. So what do I say when somebody says too much lactoferrin makes me feel worse? If it hurts, don't do that. Go down or take a break from it, or maybe you're not ready for it yet. Okay? Do I use HCl with Pepsin for protein digestion, also pancreatic enzymes? I don't tend to start with them. People can do those on their own. They're totally symptomatic. If they help, great. If they don't help, don't take them. Don't waste your money. Don't take things just because somebody on the internet said it's good for you. If you want to try it, I'm fine with people trying Betaine HCl and Pepsin. It is derived from pig. Not a huge fan of that at all. Not a huge fan of using pork derived products. Filthy creatures. The scene from Pulp Fiction comes into my mind when I go over pork. But anyway, so then I want to say this name right, Tiariana Mana. Anyway, sorry if I butchered the pronunciation of your name. I'm not Finnish. She says it's probably true. Finnish government tells moms and kids not to eat liver, but otherwise I don't think our government here gives any good advice. Greetings from Finland. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. But definitely this was older advice. Let me see when it was. Let me see when this advice came out. We can all hopefully we can all agree that governments have become even bigger liars as time has gone on. So when we go and look at this article, I think I want to say from memory that this was in the 1990s. And they said this. Oh, no, it wasn't 1990s. It was 2008. From their conclusion, this risk assessment showed that long-term liver consumption may expose children to retinoid intakes higher than what is considered safe. Anyway, go check that out. Mr. says, I overate for a few days during a celebration. Now I am moving slowly, kind of clogged. Should I fast for a day or two so my body can deal with everything inside, or should I keep eating like normal? I would go by how you feel. Generally, the body, if we allow the body, it's been shown in children that when children eat too much at one meal, they tend to restrict. I don't want to say restrict, they eat less at following meals. They actually very naturally balance out their caloric intakes unless they're fed shite foods like sugary drinks and other things, especially liquid calories. Don't drink calories. If you're overweight and you don't want to gain weight, here's a simple thing. Drink water. Don't drink liquid calories. There's that. But if you don't feel good, I mean, it doesn't have to be fasting. It doesn't have to be all or none. This is where people in the health world get into, is it black or white? It doesn't, there's shades of gray. For those of you who have seen Soul Man. Not a very politically correct movie these days. Anyway, it doesn't have to be fasting. Just eat lighter, whatever that means to you. Eat cleaner, eat lighter, eat less vitamin A, don't drink alcohol, don't do the opposite. Doesn't have to be the, if you ate a ton, it doesn't have to be eat none. If you eat a ton, you can eat less. If you ate dirty, you can eat cleaner. If you drank a bunch of alcohol or soda or sugary garbage, drink water. Doesn't mean if you drank a lot, doesn't mean you have to not drink. If you ate a lot, it doesn't mean you have to not eat. This is something that I tend to think I bring to the health and nutrition world, is like sanity and understanding what moderation is and when it should be done. Like the people who live on the moderation thing where they're like, just do everything in moderation. I'm like, okay, so mercury intake, let's just moderation. Who's that guy on Instagram? It's like moderation, just moderation. What's his name? I forget. He's hilarious. No, some things you can do moderation in. Many things you can do moderation in. Some things like mercury poisoning. There is no moderation. There is the people who say the poison's in the dose. Okay, tell me what poison, what dose of mercury is okay? What dose of mercury should we get to get our hormesis? Let's get the hormesis. Because we need a little bit of poison to be healthy. No one you know is so clean that they actually need more poisons. If we were being systematically poisoned, do you think it would be a good disinfo campaign to keep us poisoning ourselves, to sell us this stupid idea of hormesis? Well, we don't want to be too clean. Who do you know who is too clean? Are we going to say that somebody out living in the woods off the land, they sleep in the woods at night, that they somehow need to come to modern society to get more poisons? Are we going to say that? Somebody drinking like pristine stream water and getting all their sunlight and using no artificial chemicals and poisons and any of that stuff. Are we going to actually say that they need to come into society and get more poisons? Hormesis is garbage in today's society. The poison is in the dose. No, some things are just straight up poisons. Is somebody going to tell me that, well, you just need a little bit of Teflon in your blood to be really, really healthy? No. Stop letting them fool you into taking in more poisons than you need to. Everything you do in today's society should be to avoid the poisons that they're selling you. And you'll still have more poisons in your system than you should. Dom Juan says, I think I have what you call a putrefactive gut. Anything that I eat, I feel bad afterwards. It seems that I don't have motility at all and everything goes slowly down the GI tract. What could I do? Well, it sounds like you may have a bit of gastroparesis. You may want to look that up. That's kind of like mild paralysis of the digestive tract. If you've read my article in the network about the types of dysbiosis and what can be done with different probiotics for those different dysbioses, I would do that. If there are foods that you're eating that make you so if somebody says everything I eat makes me feel bad, usually we can then say there's got to be something that you're eating that makes you feel worse than average, right? There's always a spectrum. There's like, I feel crappy when I eat. Well, there's going to be things that make you feel worse than the average, right? An average is we compile everything. And there's going to be things that make you feel a little better or don't make you feel as bad. So you start looking at those things and then you start shifting away from the bad. Don't do those. Doc, it hurts when I do this. Don't do that. Shift towards the things that make you feel better, that you know from what you've learned in the Love Your Liver program are good for you. That's the start. Now, I mean, I talked to somebody the other day. They told me they're coming to me. So I want you to understand, folks, these are the kind of people that I get. He came to me and he said, I'm pretty much down to only eating potatoes, like white potatoes. That is the only thing that I tolerate. I had somebody come to me. They were like, the only thing I'm tolerating is mangoes. Well, if you know anything about vitamin A toxicity, like mangoes are full of carotenoids. The sweeter, here's an interesting thing. The sweeter a fruit is, generally the more orangish, yellow, and all that stuff it's going to be. Think mango, papaya, that stuff. The more vitamin A in them, the more sugar there is with it. Why does nature put sugar in fruit? It's to hide the taste of poisons. What's the saying? A little bit of sugar helps the medicine go down. Are medicines known for being good tasting or not? Medicines are poisons that we use to help address certain symptoms. They are poisons that have certain effects on our bodies that we use for those effects that are generally poisons otherwise. So fruit, just think of a fruit, distilled fruit flavor, like the essential oil of a fruit, like lemon oil. People don't take lemon oil straight. They might put it in their water and dilute the crap out of it while it breaks down their insides and slows down their detox systems. I did it for a while. I only got worse. I did geranium oil because of some stuff I read. And yeah, it made me worse. Essential oils are plant toxins concentrated. How can people argue that white sugar is overly processed and it's bad for you? And then they go and they use MCT oils or just coconut oil. It's a processed food, or collagen powder, or white flour. See, people will be like, white sugar's bad, white flour's bad. Oh, but MCT oils, ghee, processed butter. I'm going to use collagen powder. I'm going to take the gelatin off of the broth and make that into something. Or let's just take the gelatin and just powder it. Oh, let's run it through some enzymes and make collagen powder. And we're going to somehow say because it's magically fat or magically protein, it's not overly processed anymore. Don't be a hypocrite. If it's processed, it's processed. You're either saying processed foods are okay. Not all processed foods. Not all processed foods. The ones that are protein and fat are okay, but the carb ones are bad. Remember, you can give rats and mice cholestasis two major ways: high fructose diet, high fat diet. Weird. Fruitarian, keto. What you should do is eat the things that you tolerate better. Figure that out. I tell people this all the time. If there's foods that I'm kind of suggesting in the vitamin A detox setup, the Love Your Liver program, that don't agree with somebody, they shouldn't eat it. The lady who could only eat mangoes, as she was doing the program and improving, she was able to start adding foods to her diet. Amazing. Do you know that there was a study on rotation diets? I believe it was in Japan, whereas people went on a rotation diet, like an allergy rotation diet, they actually developed more allergies to foods. Weird, right? But what we do with this program, as you get sensitivity to foods, if you're sensitive to foods, people say, oh, it's leaky gut. What is leaky gut? Leaky gut is toxic bile eating holes through your intestines. Bile modulates the tight junctions between your intestines. I've shown that paper before. Your food sensitivities are toxic bile problems and cholestasis. And as we seal up the liver and the bile ducts and your leaky gut by making your bile less toxic and putting less toxins in your body and giving you the nutrients that you need and doing things like lactoferrin to help seal up everything, the food sensitivities get less, and some of them totally go away. But in terms of where to start with this, I have no idea what you tolerate and what you don't. And that's not something that I need to know here. I need for you to look at, what do you eat that makes you feel less bad? Go in that direction. Try to eat, maybe you need to eat one food at a time, because for anybody who's experimented with it, I'm not like a food combining crazy person, but for anybody who's ever experimented, like if you eat one food at a time, you will digest better eating steak by itself or eating grains or potatoes by themselves versus eating them together. You will feel better when you eat one food at a time. This is just the way it is. Am I saying everybody has to do that? Some people are going to be able, well, Dr. Smith said to eat only one thing at a time. I didn't say that at all. I'm saying eating, the more you mix foods together, a bunch of different types of foods of different constituents, the more your digestion gets mixed up. If you don't believe me, go out and try it. Just eat meat. One meal, just eat meat. One other meal, just eat beans or grains or whatever. You'll feel like your digestion works better, like it's easier to digest, because it is. If you only work on one project at a time versus working on 4 projects at a time, you can focus better. Same thing with your digestion. We're just a machine. Things that make machines tend to run better, concepts that tend to make machines work better, tend to work better in us. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to do this last question real quick. I got to get to my inner circle. Can I tell you about, so Bob says, can you tell us about some connections between prostate health and vitamin A diet / detox and liver health? Let me just go. Okay, so let me just, quick story. I was in my father passed in his late 60s from prostate cancer. I was developing urinary difficulties, frequent urination, trouble sleeping because I couldn't empty my bladder completely. I used to have to pee. I used to have to go pee 5 times before I could go to sleep, because I had to, it wasn't always 5, but I had to feel like there was no sensation of having to pee in my bladder for me to be able to go to sleep. I had to, if I woke up in the middle of the night, because chronic insomnia was a huge problem for me. All these things are gone now, by the way. I would actually have to sit in bed, and because I'd grown so used to holding my pee in as a child, they call it nurse's bladder now. They have a syndrome for it, nurse's bladder, because these nurses will hold their pee for 8, 10, 12, 16 hours straight. And then they get to the point where they're so good at, remember, specific adaptation to imposed demands, the SAID principle. Whatever you practice, you get better at. And as Tony Blauer of the Spear System says, be careful what you practice. You might get really good at the wrong thing. So if you're constantly holding in your pee like I was, like these nurses are, you actually get so good at keeping your sphincter, your urinary sphincter, tight that it becomes very hard to open it so you can pee properly, because you're so good at clenching it all the time. That's what it gets good at. It's not good at letting go. So anyway, I would be laying in bed, and I would actually have to, as I'm laying in bed, I would I didn't feel like I had to pee, because I'd grown so numb to my body's signals that I would actually have to purposely like try to relax the muscles down there, like I was going to go pee. And then if I felt like, I'm gonna have to pee. Okay, then I would actually, then my body would tell me, you gotta pee. So I'd get up and go pee. But I had to actively, like, purposely concentrate on relaxing the muscles, so I would feel like the muscle, the process that I would do to pee. I did have when you're in naturopathic medical school, towards the end of school, you had to receive prostate exams and you had to give prostate exams. It's just a medical school thing. Those of you who have done this kind of stuff know this. And I did have a slightly enlarged prostate in my 20s. That's not good. So my dad died of prostate cancer, and I was already having prostate issues. And I know I was in med school eating raw liver. I was in med school taking that stupid Pure Encapsulations Nutrient 950, which is something like 25,000 units of vitamin A. I was thoroughly vitamin A toxic. I was doing raw dairy. I was doing egg yolks. I was making the Agenus von der Planets milkshake with raw dairy, multiple eggs, and honey. How do you give yourself fatty liver? Let's make a shake. Let's eat liver. Let's do raw dairy full of vitamin A and vitamin D. Don't eat vitamin D. Watch my video on this channel about vitamin D as a poison. Don't eat vitamin D. Don't supplement vitamin D. So I was doing liver full of copper and vitamin A, dairy full of calcium. Don't take extra calcium, full of vitamin A and vitamin D. I was doing egg yolks, more than 2 egg yolks a week, 3.6 times increased risk of fatty liver. And I was doing honey as a sweetener, full of fructose. Every single one of those things will aggravate fatty liver, cause vitamin A toxicity, cause copper toxicity. It's like a recipe for disaster. I went over Agenus von der Planets, I think, a couple weeks ago. Weird that these health gurus always seem to die early, isn't it? None of them are making it to 100. Shouldn't they all be making it to 100 if they're all right? So anyway, you need zinc for prostate health. I test zinc via blood test and hair test, and I fix zinc deficiencies on the regular. Selenium is also very important for prostate health. I test selenium. Let me go look up prostate on my forum. So don't forget, you can always go on my forum. I'm just on that forum that I've linked here. And I typed in prostate. This is the last question, you guys. I got to get going to my inner circle. So let me go and read. The article is prostate cancer and BPH, benign prostatic hypertrophy risk goes up with increasing blood and tissue poison/vitamin A, as in retinol and beta carotene levels. Okay. From the paper, serum retinol and carotenoid concentrations and prostate cancer risk, results from the prostate cancer prevention trial. This is going to just shut this whole thing down. Here's the quote. In addition, a recent pooled analysis, which included data from the PCPT, reported a 13% increase in prostate cancer risk in the highest quintile of serum retinol relative to the lowest. So the highest people in blood vitamin A versus the lowest, there was a 13% increase in prostate cancer risk. From their conclusion, in the placebo arm of this prospective study, high serum retinol and alpha carotene concentrations were associated with increased risk of total and high-grade prostate cancers. From the impact section, men with higher levels of serum retinol and alpha carotene may be at increased risk of prostate cancer. From the paper, serum retinol and risk of prostate cancer. Men with higher retinol concentrations at baseline were more likely to develop prostate cancer. The results were similar for aggressive disease. In this largest study to date of vitamin A status and subsequent risk of prostate cancer, higher serum retinol was associated with elevated risk, with sustained high exposure conferring the greatest risk. Another paper, abnormal level of retinoic acid in prostate cancer tissues. Here's the quote, in our studies, the concentration of retinol was twofold elevated in benign prostatic hypertrophy compared with the other two tissues. Are we seeing a pattern yet? So, from the paper, lower prostate cancer risk in men with elevated plasma lycopene levels. Here's the quote. The only other notable association we observed in this matched set analysis was a higher geometric mean plasma retinol for all, they're referring to here, all of the prostate cancer cases compared to controls. I don't care about the lycopene thing. Actually, who is it? Lauren Cordain of the Paleo Diet actually wrote a big article. It's a paywall thing now, but he was writing an article saying that the reason why lycopene might show a little less risk for prostate cancer, he was calling it like a friendly fire theory, like the lycopene was actually destroying the prostate cancer tissue that might have turned into cancer. You're still destroying prostate cancer tissue. That was his theory. So anyway, that is all I have for today. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm off to do my inner circle over on nutritiondetective.com inside the Love Your Liver network, where I'm going to go answer questions for about an hour and a half straight, where I can get into more controversial topics, and I can say things there that I can't say here on the YouTubes. So anyway, come and join us at the Love Your Liver network over at nutritiondetective.com. We'd love to have you. It's 900 people strong and growing, and we are here to undo all of the lies that we have been fed. Hopefully you learned some things about the lies we've been fed today, and I will see you next time. Bye now.